Okay, Lou said he's ready to go.
We're ready? All right.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 6:16 p.m. on Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. I'm Lisa Carol Fabian, Curriculum Committee Chair. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's nice to see all of you. I will call this meeting to order as we do have a quorum. First, I will entertain a motion to accept our minutes from our December 13th, 2022 meeting.
I will. Motion.
Thank you.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Robin. All right. We do not have any items for review or possible action, so we are just going to jump right into several items for information this evening. We'll begin with the Day of Hope and Healing. So I will turn that over to Ms. Mazzari.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Happy New Year. I hope it was a good start to your 2023. The Day of Hope and Healing, I have a little presentation of slides really for me to just kind of remember what I need to share because there's just so much to share about it. And before I do that, I just want to give you a little bit of context about how this came to be. It was February 2021 when we were all in the throes of the pandemic and being in a online situation. And my husband is also an educator. He's in New Haven Public Schools. He's an English high school teacher there. And he shared with me, we all had our designated, areas in our home being online. So we didn't really kind of know who was doing what. And he comes up the stairs and he shares, he's like, that was great. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What was great? I thought it was a class that he had. And he said, we had a Day of Hope and Healing. New Haven Public Schools put this event together for all of their students and their teachers and their admin. And it was a variety of sessions that they offered throughout the day. And they also had Clifford Beers participate. They had a whole catalog of these events that they provided. And I said, that sounds awesome. I said, can you share some information with me? I'd love to kind of take a look at that. I looked at it. I thought it was great. I went to Dr. Robinson, who was the superintendent at the time, and I presented her with the idea. And she said, Denise, go for it. And I reached out to our community partners, and this will be year 3. So I'm going to show you just to give you a sense of what is it, because like I said, there's a lot of information. And we are, like I said, working on, let's make sure I do this right, working on our 3rd annual. So please forgive me. I thought I had this all set up the way I wanted it to be. All right. I usually just talk to you guys. Well, today I thought maybe you'd want to be looking at something else other than just me. Okay. So 3rd annual Day of Hope and Healing. Why are we doing this? It really, we did it. It started off as just a way for us to recognize the anxiety and the stress that everyone had endured during the pandemic. And it really has stemmed in beyond the pandemic. A lot of tragedies have occurred in people's lives. And so we wanted to dedicate a day where we just we be, that focuses on healing hearts, instilling hope, and really just kind of taking a pause and reflecting and healing. We created a catalog, so I'll just get into how it works. So I have a wonderful committee. I work with teachers, administrators, community partners, and we come together to put together a series of activities. When we first started, it was online only. And then last year it was a hybrid of online and in-person activities. And as you can see, I gave you a little bit of example. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's just to give you an idea of some of the things we had. Empower come. We had a survivor, 9/11 survivor, come and talk with students at Stratford High School. And we had visits to the museum, the African American Museum. We had a lot of different activities that occurred, and I can get into more detail if you like. But we presented the teachers with a catalog so that they could choose these different activities. Here's a picture of Gordon Huey, he's the 9/11 survivor. And after the presentation, our Stratford High students presented him with that photo or that art work, which is actually in their museum that he is a part of. We had a teacher, this is, and I'll spare you the video. If you want to see it, I'll let you see it. We had one of our art teachers create a video about art as therapy and art therapy and what that means. And she did a video for both high school and elementary, as you see here. And she then leads the students through a read aloud and kind of an activity to do art. We had the book I Am Enough was a read aloud. And as you can see here, let's see, that looks like Miss Julian's kindergarten class created a bulletin board after they talked about how they were special and reflected on themselves. We had a great number of speakers. You can see we have some of our own folks here. There's Lieutenant Eller. He met with some of our students over at Flood Middle School, and there's James Olson. He helped facilitate, empower, and a campaign builder with some of our high school students. And in the left corner there, we had a special guest speaker, Melvin, former Globetrotter, who talks about hope and inspiration. There's Tangela Irby there, who is a former Stratford teacher, I believe, and she has written, author of a book, G's Ben's Quilts. So she read stories and answered questions. She did an information session with our younger ones, and Laconia there in the bottom right. He is a storyteller, and he works through all of our grades. And then there's Gordon Huey again in the center, a 9/11 survivor that presented at Stratford High. Let's see. This flyer here represents the self-guided. So we know that everyone couldn't, we couldn't open our doors for everyone. So we created a self-guided, list of events that people could take part in. And the idea was that we had a QR code. So if someone wanted to participate from afar, they could scan the code, and we gave them a series of or a list of different activities that they could do. And that's represented here in this image. Here's a picture of some, we had sidewalk chalk, and they drew different images of hope and healing. And I have a, great many images of those, but that's just to show you example. We also had some after school activities that were led by our community partners. As you can see, there's the African American History Museum. We had yoga that was done by YMCA. There was coffee house poetry that Ms. Temple led, and the library created a rock garden activity for us. So we really involved our after school activity partners, and they even, funded some of the speakers and the events we had. And really, it's been wonderful. Trying to think, what am I left? There's another picture of our kiddos. And one other thing, and I think some of you actually participated. So in the evening, we had a talk, Let's Talk, a time to heal, a time to hope, as you can see here, for our families and caregivers. And this was done through CERC, which is the State Education Resource Center. The presenters there, Nitsa Diaz and Paquita Jarman-Smith, they actually ran a conversation for us last spring. And I know that some of you on this call were there. That's how that partnership formed. It was because of our Day of Hope and Healing. And I worked with Mr. Sontag to bring everything together. So we provided something for students, for teachers, for administrators, for parents. And that's our hope to do that again, and caregivers to do that again this year. And the end, and talk about what a nice surprise. We got lots of thank you letters from students, just appreciating the day. And I just wanted to share that example. We thought, how great that was, that someone had them put those together for us. And I thought they were nice to share. At the end, here's a group that took a walk together, a group of teachers that took a walk together. And at the end of the day, a day later, we asked for feedback and we asked for a survey to be completed. And our heart here is full of all of the words that we collected in that survey. So you can see things like positive, uplifted, amused, amazed, appreciated, hopeful, refreshed, inspired, etc. And those are all words that were collected as a result of that survey and put into our image, which is really now our kind of brand or our logo for this event. Next, this year's coming up is May 16th, 2023, and the kickoff meeting for that is on January 18th, which is next week. And I am going to stop presenting and allow anybody that needs to ask me a question, or if I've missed anything, or Dr. Gaeta, did I miss anything?
Well, you do have, as you mentioned, you have some people here who participated in the past. And so if they would like to share anything, in addition to asking questions.
Well, I know that conversation took place in the spring. It was a springboard for another type of event, but I know that they worked with the same presenter. So I'm not sure if anybody actually participated in the Hope and Healing, but I'm hoping that they do this year, if they haven't done it so already.
Yeah. Well, I know Yvonne was certainly there.
Yeah.
Right? Yvonne obviously was supportive of this and help out in that. We have some teachers who also spent the day with us.
Yep.
So, Yvonne, did you want to share anything?
Not really. I just want everyone to understand that it takes a lot of work. So please join our committee because we
Yes, it
always
does.
want to make it bigger and better for the students and staff members. We all know that educators are going through a lot, expected to do everything, and this is a day that we could say, all right, we want to give to you, and as a community of practitioners, but also as the Stratford community wants to give back to you. So we need your help. So join our meeting. Denise said January 18th.
Well
Right.
said, lady. Well said. It is an inordinate amount of work, but it is so worth the work, especially when you're getting, pictures and cards and thank you letters, and not that that's why we do it, but it's just it makes the heart feel good, and that's a good thing. So that's it.
Robin.
What time is your meeting on the 18th?
It begins at 3:30.
Okay.
It's virtual.
Okay. If you can maybe send out that invitation to us, I can at least send it out to the CARES education team,
Okay. Yep. Great.
which I'm the co-chair of. So.
Yes. Thank you, because I did think I sent it to Mike, but I didn't. So thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, Leanne Bradford and myself are the co-chairs now for the education team.
Oh,
Wonderful. So.
Well, I just have to say, just from watching this happen over the last 2 years, that you can't even describe the amount of work that goes, and the coordination, the technology that's involved. I know our tech department also, tries to do the best that they can do to try to set up access for people, for those who might not be able to do things in person, but they select from something that is digital, that they feel as though they can be part of the community as well. So just it's an incredible thing to watch come together. That's all I can say. Every time, try to talk to Denise or to Yvonne, they've got a million things going on. And I know you get a lot of support from your partners as well. I know that they step up and help out too. So we're really looking forward to that day. There's always some fun that happens in that day. Some of the speakers, that I've heard were enjoyable. They were really enjoyable. Melvin is one of them. He was giving me a hard time in one of our meetings, and People enjoyed that. Were you there, Jess? You're smiling. Were you there? No, huh? But it was fun. So anybody else? Or ideas, maybe, please let Denise or Yvonne know if you've seen something in another district or, with another partner in town. Jess?
Jess?
I was just going to add in that I know at the elementary level, a lot of the kids really loved the bee bombs that they did last year. And that like having the tactile hands-on things was really great for the little kids.
Great. All right.
Any other questions, comments? We're good. All right. Moving on, our next item on the agenda is an update on the Alliance grant. And I will turn that back over to Dr. Gata.
Thank you. So, and I also noticed that Dr. Daniels is with us
I saw
this
that.
evening. Yes, I'm so glad you were able to join us. So the comments that I'm going to make, I'm certainly hoping that you, Eva and Yvonne, will jump in because you're both very tightly connected, as well as Denise. She has some things that are part of this Alliance grant as well. So I will, again, put a couple of slides together just to keep us on track here. So let's just see. Okay. So this is an update of the Alliance plan that we submitted to the State Department in the fall. And in thinking through what we felt were going to be the best resources to support our staff and students, there were several things that we needed to keep in mind. One of them, in learning a little bit more about Alliance, there are certain categories that help to focus one's plan, and there are focus areas within those categories. And the Stratford Alliance plan touches on three categories: the academic category, the talent category, and that's really the development of the professional development of our staff, and climate, which speaks to our learning, our teaching and learning environment, and our community. So within the academic category, we selected three areas that we wanted to really focus on, that we thought were going to, in the best ways, support our students. So a tiered system of targeted interventions was one, and I'll give you examples of each of these areas. The second was enhancement of bilingual education programs, and so I think you can figure out who might be connected to that. And statewide educational standards, activities, and initiatives is sort of a broad category, and we touched on this, and I'll share the piece of the plan that really speaks to this particular area of focus. In talent, we focused on strategies to bolster staff performance and interaction with our students. And in climate, again, looking at statewide educational standards and activities. That was also another focus area. Well, in doing this, we had also in the fall taken some time as a school district, and we were looking at renewing our strategic operating plan. And so as we were developing the Alliance plan, we wanted to make sure that we weren't duplicating efforts, that we weren't straying far from what we as a district and our stakeholders said were very important for us as a school district. Okay, so these were the categories. I'm sure many of you know them because you were part of the focus groups that worked on the strategic operating plan this past fall. So looking at well-being in terms of staff, students, and our families, thinking about meaningful learning, future success for students, exceptional talent, and that's where, again, our professional development to bolster staff performance, et cetera, and our family and community partnerships. So these were also the areas of our strategic operating plan that we felt we looked at and paid close attention to as we were developing our alliance plan. So this table here sort of gives you an idea of a number of the items that were specific that we requested in our plan. You'll see the category, the alliance category and focus area, and also the connection between our strategic operating plan. So given what we were seeing with students coming into the district at the kindergarten level, we noticed, like many other districts did, that many of our kindergarten students were not, had not had experience in a preschool or other setting that would really prepare them for coming into the classroom. And so we were looking for ways to support kindergarten teachers in the efforts that they had with their students. And so we requested that we be able to use some of the Alliance plan to provide some of that support in the classroom. And so this was obviously approved. And once the plan was approved, we were able to bring on board 15 kindergarten aides, which in some places are shared between classrooms. The principals help to set up a schedule for the aides, and they help to support teachers in the classroom during the course of the school day. In addition to that, at the middle school level, we noticed that support in mathematics was hugely important for our students. As you all know, we have math coaches at the elementary level whose roles are increasingly more important. And we felt that we'd like to see that support given at the middle school level. Each middle school was able to secure a math interventionist to work with students in the areas of mathematics. So providing targeted interventions based upon the data that was collected. And for each area here, we were able to also request supplemental curricular resources as well. So for the math interventionists, they had programs that they were using as well with their students. Things such as Common Lit, No Red Ink for our literacy programs at the secondary level were also secured. In addition to that, we also had, and you'll notice that the K-12 supplemental curricular resources for implementing statewide standards is a little bit different. And this area here was, and I know we've had this conversation before about our music program and how we would like to engage more students in that program. So based upon a recommendation, we were able to put in and purchase a number of instruments that the district could loan to students who were not able to purchase them or rent them. And so we wanted to look at some of the special areas that students connect with very tightly. And so therefore, being an engaging practice for them to be able to participate in the music program. Specifically in our dual language program, and maybe I'll stop here once I just make a reference to this, but Ms. Masari spoke very strongly for the students who are in the dual language program who may show as needing some kind of support in the classroom. And, she had a great idea. And Denise, I'll let you talk a little bit about this.
Sure. The reading support is really focused on our English learners that are a part of the dual language program. Mm-hmm. Dual language is, as I have shared with you in the past, is a bilingual education program that we have here in Stratford. And at the center of that is our English learners. So we have put together a program for them. And again, anybody that wants a bilingual education in the district, we send them to the program, at least K through what we hope to be 6 next year. So knowing that we have a great number of those students in this program, we're going to start with Second Hill Lane and create a reading program, as I said, bilingual reading program that will occur during the day. We have 2 interventionists that work with our program, and honestly, we're looking at our tiered students that are our Ls or our tiered students, period, that are in the program, because we need someone that understands bilingual education and has both languages. So we have that teacher that's coming on board, and then we'll have the 2 interventionists working together. And then my hope is to actually create some sort of programming for after school for students that need support, as well, whether it be, math, reading, or otherwise. But at least that is the plan for now. We're rolling with that. So hopefully everything will come off as we have planned. And I hope to get started by the end of January.
Yep. Thank you. Excuse me. The next is an SAT AP after school program. And somebody who's been very involved in helping to bring this to fruition is Yvonne. So Yvonne, you want to say a few words about this program?
Sure. So we have a SAT prep after school and Saturday academy. So students have options for both high schools, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2:15 to 4:15 p.m. from January 31st through March 23rd. And then on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Stratford High School. Currently, we have 84 signups, which is really good. And we're hoping that a couple more sign up for the Saturday one to fill those classes for our teachers who are excited to work with the students to help them build their confidence in, in the essay, both their math and English areas. So that's it for now.
Yep. And I think we also have transportation. Is that's part of the, we have a late bus for students to stay.
Late bus and Saturday bus for students.
Yep. Thank you. So we move on to a new category here in the talent area and talent development. And let's see, it was on our last meeting, we had Sam Rosenberg here who spoke about the developmentally appropriate play program. So you're probably familiar with that. I'm going to, if you don't mind, Dr. Daniels, I'll put you a little bit on the spot here, but certainly I can, the 2 of us can share this, but you've been extremely involved as the Director of School Leadership and Accountability in looking and helping us as a district refine our data, use our data, and you've been very involved with our principals as well. So I'm going to step back a bit. The MTSS piece and the instructional coaching, we've been working with CES on this, but you've been very involved in that and helping to develop the programs there that are ongoing. So would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Gaeta. And good evening, everyone. I was just going to provide a little bit of context of some of the work that's been happening at Stratford Public Schools. So Dr. Gaeta and her team did a very, very good job in naming the meaningful learning as a core aspect of the work that we are looking at for this year. We're talking about the instructional core. We're talking through what needs to happen to ensure that we continuously improve our schools and that our students are reaching their highest academic achievement levels. And so to that end, I was brought in or on board to really focus in on the continuous improvement process, supporting principals and school leadership teams and teachers who are in leadership positions with developing school improvement plans, looking at data, gathering the correct data, and using data to inform action steps that will result in equitable outcomes for all students. So to that end, to Dr. Gator's point, I've been working closely with CES as a leader in facilitating what are the key assessments that we are going to be using as a district to measure student learning, which will in turn inform teacher practices and inform our families, our schools, our community of how we are doing collectively as a school on a continuous basis. And then, in addition to that, setting up instructional data teams around those assessments. So, CES has been instrumental in helping us to shape and frame our NTSS process and to frame the coaching that is happening with our specialists, particularly in ELA and math. Our specialists are getting ready to embark upon training for how to lead and leverage data team sessions with teachers so that teachers are able to utilize data in the classroom to inform practice. We talked a little bit about that in professional learning with our teachers to kind of remind them of, what assessments are available for learning and how we use assessments in the classroom. But now we are going to be looking at actually implementing that and following through with supports for that work. In addition to that, again, I work closely with the principals, and so we've been talking at great length, on a monthly basis, about 2 hours a month, on how exactly do we collect data, school-wide data, and how do we inform our school improvement plan through a root cause analysis. So really deep diving into some of the causes of why students may or may not be meeting their achievement goals and identifying ways that we may support students. Instructional leadership work also includes looking at standards for leadership. And we are also looking at district platforms for data to help facilitate some of the work. I am very proud of the work that our specialists have done thus far to really go in and say, here are our universal screeners and our tier 1 common assessments to measure learning over time so that we can quickly intervene and support students with learning. So I'm proud of that work, and Jess is here, and I know she's been part of that work and deeply involved. And then other than that, we are going to continue to develop our understanding of use of data and how to apply that data to inform instructional decisions. So that's a nutshell of my role and some of the work that we've been doing to support with MTSS, instructional coaching, and the tier supports.
Yep. And it's been incredible to watch and see. Everybody is rolling up their sleeves and they're, up to their elbows right now in the data. And that's a big piece of many conversations that we're having. And Dr. Daniels has brought some great insights to our district based upon her experience. I will also just, mention again, as she did, the instructional coaching, professional learning that our support staff, and she alluded to the specialists. So our reading teachers, our reading consultants, our math coaches who work specifically with our staff are very much involved in these conversations and decision making so that they can then support staff and continue to coach them in their practice in the classroom. So again, great team effort and, really appreciated and excited. It's really exciting to see happen. So thank you. The other thing I wanted to mention is on here, you see the word stop it, or the two words together, stop it. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with this particular program, but in October, this program went live. And it's a program where students, parents, and staff can directly connect with the school and local-based resources and ask for assistance. And this is a fully configurable reporting system. It can be used for everyday needs such as food, transportation, clothing, shelter, medical, or Mental health needs such as bullying, if there are issues of bullying, anxiety, or domestic violence, individuals can get help from school-based resources by reporting it straight on the website or the app. It's a well-structured application and easy to use. It's accessible on any platform, such as smartphones, computers, and Chromebooks. There's already been a usage of the system, and school administration were able to respond to reports instantaneously. At the end of the school year, we will do a full analysis of the usage of this program, and we'll be able to see how valuable it is and make some decisions about using it in the future. And at the bottom of this list, but certainly not at the bottom of our hearts, and I'm going to bring Yvonne back into this. We also now have a family and community engagement specialist, and Yvonne can share a little bit about what this person has done. And the two of us just meeting later this afternoon with the family outreach teams. And so, Yvonne, I'll let you introduce our family and community engagement specialist.
Okay, great. So we were able to hire a new and first time family and community engagement specialist. Her name is Melissa Redding. She is a resident of Stratford. She is also a parent within our system. She is from New York, which is very helpful because I don't know if many of you know, we do have a lot of New York families who have moved to the district. So some of the resources or information that's needed to try to address some of the concerns that our families from New York may have has been a really great opportunity for us to, have someone who comes from New York and understands the resources that we need to look for. So that's where she is in her journey right now, is looking for resources. She's meeting with several organizations within Stratford. She is part of the Stratford Strong Committee. She's met with many town departments, and we're excited. So some other things that she is working on is our spring internships and externships. So we really want to make sure we make that happen for our students this spring. So we're working on that. We are also working on a second. So usually, we have Parent C, which starts up in February. That's usually mostly for parents of younger children, but we really want to address the needs of our secondary parents. So some of the topics we're looking to review are how to diffuse anger to positively engage adolescents. Um, Data for parents, looking at data to address supports for student achievement, addressing high anxiety school avoidance in adolescents. So we're looking at that. We're also doing a huge mentorship recruitment. You heard earlier talking about the Saturday Academy. And we're looking at possibly doing the Saturday Restorative Academy for some of our students, where we do match students with a mentor to get some life skills mentorship, and hopefully some jobs, internships in that process. I believe in career sponsors, so I want to have that offer for our students. She's also coordinating with the family outreach workers in all of the schools. She's a part of the attendance committees to address those concerns, and again, bring resources to the table for our parents. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now. I didn't know if it was me or.
Nope, it was me. I
Okay,
am so
good.
sorry.
No problem.
Where did I leave off? What was the
You
last thing you
started to
heard?
talk about the mentoring piece that you wanted to bring in on Saturdays.
Yes, mentorship program for our high school students on Saturdays, and she's coordinating the family outreach work, and she's also, it's not she is our brand new, not really known, but our communication and marketing person. So if you see certain flyers that's on Twitter or, around the SAT or different holidays or events, it's usually her. And she's been very helpful in doing that for us. So if you have the chance or when you have the chance, please reach out to Melissa. Again, her name is Melissa Redding. With any resources or questions that you may have, she's working hard. She's working a lot and getting to know our community. I did not say that she's coming from a high school background as a family liaison, more specifically with Title One. So she's making sure that we are compliant with Title One requirements also. So yeah, if you want to reach out to her, please do so. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. Sue, just as a summary, as you know, as we've put together this alliance plan, first of all, it had to be submitted and approved before we could move forward. And in addition to that, the district meets 3 times during the course of the year to give an update to the State Department on the plan that we've submitted and our progress in that plan. So on November 16th, that was our first status update. I believe that, we received, and I know that Yvonne and Dr. Daniels were there at that. I would have to say that, I seemed encouraged and, I felt that the members of the State Department who came to visit us were encouraging, also gave us some ideas that we followed up on. So we're looking forward to our next update, which will be in March. And of course, Dr. Daniels and her team are very much involved in this because we're collecting data to show our progress in the goals that we've set for ourselves. And then the final report will be somewhere toward the end of the school year. We haven't gotten a date just yet, but we've been informed that, it'll be around this time. So we will continue to come to the curriculum committee and do updates for you. But I'm going to stop sharing right now and see if we can. Oh. All set.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Gaeta. Thank you, Dr. Daniels. Thank you, Mrs. Temple. Any questions, comments? No one? Nothing? I have a few. Really quick. Yvonne, on the SAT Academy, I know you said we have like 80 something kids. We're providing transportation. We have more spots. That's only open to juniors, correct?
Yes, right now it's open to juniors.
Is it possible we would open it to sophomores if there are more seats available?
That is on the table.
Good to know. And then my only other, it's not even so much a question, maybe it's question kind of comment, with the Stop It app. I think it's wonderful. I know I didn't even realize all of the things that it's supposed to be capable of doing. So I'm just curious if I am not aware of all of those things as both a board member and a parent of middle school and high school children. Like perhaps it needs to be explained more and so that people use it more. I don't think people are probably using it to the full capacity that we can, just because I don't think people are really informed that it even exists. I know Benel held a town hall and I happened to mention it. I know Ms. Temple, you were there and parents were like, what are you talking about? I've never heard. So I think it's a great tool and I'm glad we were able to get it, but I think we're not using it to its full capacity. So if there's some way to get them the message out there, I don't know how well it's been explained to the students or the staff, but as a parent, I think we need to know more.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah. Sometimes when things come out from the district, at least from my experience, there's like information overload sometimes. And it seems that, if I were a parent with very limited time, I'd be looking mostly from the things that come out from our buildings, and so many times, we'll ask buildings to push out information that we feel parents would be most likely to pick up on, quickly. So we can certainly suggest that as well. That would be one other suggestion, but it does seem like a wonderful opportunity. And as I said, it really, this is something that came along a little bit later, but our tech department seems pretty pleased with it. So, we'll see how it works, but I will make note of that and bring that back to cabinet and share it. I think it's great suggestion. We're all sitting here, and I'm looking at Jessica Scandora and Laurel and that, and there's so many people on this, in this meeting, who we tried to condense everything and make it digestible, but there's so much work going on, behind the scenes that it really, it's just I'm very appreciative of the dedication and the commitment that people have. They are determined, they're goal driven, and I think we have a really strong team behind us. So thank you very much for your time. We will be, as I said,
I actually do have questions. I'm sorry. I was trying to give other people a chance because I'm always asking a bunch of questions. So,
okay.
Lisa, you did bring up one that I had, which I know we have heard of Stop It in our board meetings, but I wasn't aware that it was distributed or information about it was distributed across the school district, because I don't recall seeing anything. So I would love more there. My other question is regarding, do you mind explaining the difference between the math interventionists and what our math coaches do? Because I'm a little bit confused there.
Okay, well, Dr. Daniels can pop in too, because she's working with the data piece. And you know what, Jessica, do you mind if I ask you, just as a math coach, if you'd like to talk a little bit from personal experience about your work at the elementary level?
Sure. As a math coach, our role is kind of multifaceted, and we work supporting Tier 1 instruction and working directly with the teachers to improve the quality of our Tier 1 instruction. We also work to oversee the Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions that are happening, whether that's working with the tutors or also working with students directly. So we work with both the teachers, we work with the students. We also, another part of our job is providing professional development as well. So it's kind of multifaceted in that way, that we're working more with teachers, students, and then providing professional development. And from my understanding, that the interventionists are more directly student facing.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. They're the interventionists. They're working directly with students who are in the tiers. Yes, they're not providing professional development there, and I know that there's been a request for additional support in that area at the middle school. But we were able to provide one per school right now, but we certainly are going to keep an eye on that.
And as coaches, we do also more modeling lessons, co-teaching, things like that in the classrooms.
And I just wanted to name too this one additional piece with the interventionists and the coaches, right? This year, because we are an alliance district and because there is a significant need to look at the continuous improvement process, we're utilizing the opportunity to strengthen the effective use of data. All the coaches and the interventionists at the end of the day must be clear about what data are we using, and then have the ability to build relationships with teachers to facilitate a conversation and drive the supports for students in the classroom. And our interventionists are helping with figuring out and supporting with the Tier 2 and Tier 3 work. But the key pieces that we're looking at this year, just looking at the coaches and the interventionists, is looking at the systems and looking at how do we support the use of data to support instruction. And there has to be a relationship there in order to support the teacher to receive that feedback. The coaches, just to name this as well, is the coaches, just like the interventionists, they have strong pedagogical skills in their area, right? But the coaches are actually having more of those compelling conversations around what are the specific personal and professional needs to develop the teacher's practice and to provide exemplars in the classrooms and, to come back and motivate um, our teachers in the classroom to continuously improve. And what I've seen so far, and Jess, I'm sorry to just put you out there, but she's doing an amazing job at Eli, because I've observed Jess a few times, right? And Jess as a coach has been going in and holding teachers accountable to in their data teams. What are you noticing about the students in your classroom? What got in the way? Here are some strategies that you may want to try. The ones that you did try, tell me what happened. And then she's circling back and following up to kind of have those one-to-one conversations that are non-evaluative, but just support. Because sometimes as professionals, we need that dialogue to really think through what it is that we're doing. So, Ms. Coopy, just to circle back to that question, there are some similarities, which is, again, the pedagogical skills, the use of data, the ability to work directly with the teacher through that relationship. And our coaches are taking that additional step of really making sure that the teachers are fully supported in their work in the classroom, beyond just the evaluation system.
Thank you very much for that clarification. And then my last question, and then I'll let other people get there. It's just the audio wasn't clear when Dr. Gaeta was discussing the music piece, and were you? I think you said the funding allowed us to purchase additional music equipment. What grades are we using those for? Like who?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. My understanding is that it's more, and I can double check on this. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it's at the middle, sort of the secondary level, because students begin to take an instrument at the upper elementary, and then as what we're trying to do is to provide and engage more students at the middle level, so that when they get to the high school level, they find, they have many opportunities to pursue that. So I will go back again and check with Amy Boyle, who is the department head there, and I'll get a more explicit answer for you.
Good, because I thought we had a program in place and funding and grants that allowed us to purchase. I forgot a few months back, there was a presentation, and we were told, some funding went to purchasing additional musical equipments. But when we're talking about expanding music, and, we also have a program in place where if you can't afford to purchase equipment, you could get one owned by the school, by the district. So I didn't realize we still needed additional funds for that. I'm thinking if you're investing some of this money, you're opening up music opportunity to maybe a younger grade or an earlier grade, to introduce them to music sooner, versus because over the years we've taken it away from starting in the third grade to now starting in the fourth grade, I believe. And so that's kind of where my mind was going. Not that it's just additional instruments for the existing program, because I thought we had what we needed already. So,
well, it's still an ongoing effort. And I agree with you. I think the sooner students are exposed to music, the more likelihood that they're going to stay with it. So we're just going to continue to try to find resources for that. So I'll get back to you with a more complete picture of where those instruments are located.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gallo, you've been patiently waiting.
Thank you. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. It's nice to be back. Sean Kennedy, I'm not singling you out, but how are you doing, hon? It's so good to see you. I haven't
Good.
seen
Nice
you
to
in
see
so
you.
long. You look so good. Very proud of you.
Thanks.
And Yvonne Temple, how's that son of yours doing in 7th grade?
He's doing great.
Good. Tell him I said hello. Tell him
I
we missed
will.
him. Tell him to come visit us.
Okay.
Okay, so I have first I have to just say, as our math coach Jess Gandora, she's wonderful and we appreciate her every day. I do have a question though, and I don't know if this is the place to ask the question, but I figure because we're the curriculum committee, maybe, and because Dr. Daniels is here, so I'm going to ask it. But talking about interventions and talking about assessment and data, I teach primarily the math in 6th grade, and we use the iReady diagnostic test. And I do have as to why my path was taken away, because we use that so much. It goes with the diagnostic test, and we were able to see exactly what the kids need to move them forward. And I understand that, you know, small group instruction and teacher instruction is very important, but we would love to have that back, because that we're really, really missing that. And I'm speaking on behalf of so many teachers that I've spoken to, and we just wish that we could have it back, because it was such a strong piece that we no longer have. And we were just curious as to why we don't have that anymore, and if it ever could possibly be reinstated, because it really goes with our program and it really helps go to all the points where the kids are weak or low, or where they're missing out on. And we, you know, doing it ourselves, we can do it, but we can't cover and do everything the way that program allowed us to do. So I'm just don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I just really felt that I had to ask the question. Thank you for letting me ask it.
Well, I think your comments and your opinion, I think, are valuable, Ms. Gallo, because, you know, one of the things we struggle with, and I think Dr. Daniels, you know, would agree, and anybody who's working with our teachers, we're asking a lot of teachers in terms of programs and collecting data and things like that. And we have heard good things about My Path. Sometimes we have to make difficult decisions in terms of, you know, what we're going to be able to fund and things like that. But I think that your testimony to, you know, your perception of that, I think, is going to be something that we'll be able to take back and include in our discussions. You know, we're always very, you know, part of conversations about new things are, you know, the teachers have too much right now, you know, on their plates. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Question, Dr. Gaeta, remind me when that program was removed and what was our process? I don't recall. Maybe it was brought to the curriculum committee before, maybe it was brought to the board. Can you refresh us on that?
I believe with the introduction of the iReady program, which is the math program, the math assessment program, there is a component of it that, or a module that allows then students to go into a more individualized program, you know, and so
So when was it removed? When was it taken away?
Well, I think it was really more of a pilot area. Jess, I don't know if you have any more information on that, because I do know that in some instances, it might still be in use for students who might be in tier 3, or maybe, I think, Denise, you may have some of those licenses for your program as well.
Yeah, so my path, we did not have my path originally, but during the pandemic, iReady opened up my path availability to all students in the country as kind of, a helpful thing for all kids. So we had access to it during the 2 years from the pandemic. But we had not paid for it previously. And then this year, yes, some students do have access to it. There's a portion of students at each school that have some access to it, whether it's some of special education students or tiered students, things like that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure because I know from the start of joining this board, I've asked that when we're phasing out programs or bringing in new programs that we discuss them, right? Like in this format and understanding why something is being taken away or added, what's the rationale, what's the data being used to support such decisions. And so this one wasn't familiar to me. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the case.
And I do believe, Jess, I think in 6th grade at least, I think it's just the special ed students that still have it. I don't think any of my tiered students have it. I think it is just special ed, but I could be wrong. But that's all that we're using it for right now.
Can I ask a follow-up with that then? The MyPath, that is part of the iReady program, right? So based off of their diagnostic test, and it helps guide that way. So I'm assuming, since we only have certain licenses, right? That's an additional cost on top of what we pay for the iReady to have the, okay. With budget coming up, can we have a breakdown of what that cost is and how we can gain more seats to that?
Sure. We can get that information for you.
I think an important piece to that though is, I'm sorry, if we're hearing one testimony here, but what was the usage of it during the pandemic, right? Like I understand, some people might prefer it, but how many of our teachers are going to be using it? What's the licensing structure, right? Like, I think there should be some additional information provided here as well.
I think I was going to just share that what I can do on the data side and connecting with Dr. Gaeta, I think we can come together to not only just gather the data, but talk about systemic use, because what we also want to make sure is that some of our students have it and others don't. And there's a situation where we're implementing it for homework practice. And so some students are not accessing it due to limits like inability to access internet or whatever it may be. So I think we need to just add that piece to it. And Dr. Gaeta, I'll be happy to connect. I think Ms. Temple would be a good person also to connect on that, because we did talk about use of apps and programs and accessibility, particularly when students are at home versus the classroom. And equitable outcomes with that. So definitely good points. And I think that's something we can look at collectively.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Nothing?
I think I'm excited about the community engagement piece. I think, having those externships, I think are going to be very beneficial for those high school students. So if we can really work to continue that and that conversation, I think that's going to play a big role for those kids in high school. I think that's just awesome. It's part of my line of work is all of that. So I just see such value in that. So continuing those conversations would be great.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right. Well, thank you all for your presentation on the Alliance funding. I'm sure there'll be other questions and things that come up, but I We'll definitely, I know myself, I will reach out to any of you for further information on those things. Seeing that there is no old business or tabled items, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Robin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The
Aye.
meeting,
Aye.
Aye.
the meeting is adjourned at 7:21 p.m. Our next meeting will be on February 14th at 6:15.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Nice job, everybody. Nice job.
Nice job. What, yeah, let's get together on the MyPath thing because it's
You know,
interesting.
And well,